Hello, NeXT community. Hey, another day, many projects. So I think I don't know if this is a verbatim Albert Einstein quote, but he said something famously along the lines of, if a cluttered desk is akin to having a cluttered mind, what does it mean if someone has a clean desk? How do they look at it? So this stuff changes daily, not for, a lack of things going on. I just have so many things going on that I just need to kind of move on to the next project and, in my own way, just keep the thing rolling, man. And does it bother me, get to me? Yeah, sometimes it does. But, if someone threw 10 projects at you a day, this is what I do. I figure all this complicated stuff out in my own way. And it may not be the greatest or most efficient, but I love what I'm doing. So, that being said, let me kind of explain this mess today. So I press the old power key. We're hooking up a NeXT Cube dimension. With any luck, okay, the dimension board's working. Then we're going to get a boot script where it boots next step. And right at the beginning of the boot script, I believe we're getting a main memory configuration test failed. Yet it will continue to boot. It kind of gives a memory error and location. DRAM error -1. I know we've got new caps. It says 48 meg, so that tells me that one of the banks has a bad SIM in it. Or it's a problem with the socket because it continues to boot. This may happen to you if it's not reporting the right amount of RAM. You probably have a flaky stick. And what that's going to kind of do is slow the process down of the booting, okay? Now, we've got these new little Zulu cards. This is the RP2040. I've also got the latest and greatest RP23 Blaster. And with the help of some talented engineers, we've opened up the floodgates on these and got them running, I think, at 200 megahertz, which is pretty impressive. And that's on there. And then we've got up to 300 megahertz chips. So we're starting to get comparable to the original, hard drives that we were running. A lot of the originals, I think, were 5,400 RPM. Then we had 7,200. We had some cheetahs that were running at 10,000 RPM. And in terms of that, in gigahertz and megahertz, some of them ran faster, some of them ran hotter. And what I've done, okay, this little card, I'm able to emulate 6 hard drives now. And the hard drives were the size of these guys, the optical discs. Now, these are really even slower. They were 256 meg optical disc. At the time, that was huge because hard drives were only 100 meg, okay? So the idea is you could carry around a computer in your pocket, and in that case, you had this optical disc. These were the world's first optical drives. NeXT pushed Canon. Canon invested $155 million in NeXT to develop this and other technology. Great idea, read, write, but when you took that disc to another NeXT, sometimes the formatting was just enough difference that it wouldn't work. There were problems with dust intake. Here's an example, one I haven't cleaned up yet. Okay, I've got 3 of them that are working. I believe I've got another one that I got to ship out that was sold. And then I'm going to keep the other ones. So, oh my gosh. So over here, we're going to probably get the arrow and then a login screen finally. And I'll log in. And it seems like after the first time, This starts to get a little faster. I don't know, maybe it's just a matter of it handshaking with all the NeXT components and getting all the drivers in order. Okay, we'll let that log in. So my point is, I've got this dimension board sold to Bill. He's been very patient through my hip surgery and everything else. I'm doing great. I'm actually walking around now without a cane. But this morning, my right knee flared up. And I think it's just because I'm starting to balance things out, okay? I've been, not be able to use my left leg. So it's getting interesting. And a lot of it might have to do with the rheumatoid arthritis and storms coming in and the weather barometer. I'm jumping around a lot here. But, so with NeXT cubes, you had two different style of face plates. And that's where it's going to become important for my second customer, Sean. And Sean, I'll be emailing you. I wasn't sure if your current cube setup had this combo, which is for a cube floppy, or if it had the dual optical drives. Now, I can configure, because you're buying the 983 power supply as possibly a spare or a main, and our 4-level harness. And I've gone through and armor all this. I don't know what the deal is with these grubby fingerprints on a lot of these. I don't seem to leave fingerprints on them. So I've tried armor all. Maybe I'll try some stainless steel stuff. But that's why these appear dusty. And I like to go through the equipment first, like this cube I'm working on, just to blow out the dust bunnies. I'm sneezing. I've got a special, it's like an air blower that's, rather than go through the cans of air, I bought this air blower. Let's see, that's over here. You can kind of see it back there. That thing, it works like a champ for clearing out the dust bunnies. The problem is it clogs my head. Okay. So, Sean, I've got your power supply blown out, dust, attached to 4-level harness. If you'll let me know which faceplate you have, I can configure the new old stock floppy for you if you like, or just send it with my custom mounting bracket and cable and let you set it up, or I can do that for you so that it's just a matter of you sliding this one in and adding in the Zulu card. Now, Kenny, my third customer, I've already sent him a bunch of optical disk drives, and hopefully he's going to have some success repairing them. But in the lurch, he had also ordered one of these external floppies. And in order for me to test them, I had an overly efficient roommate. She loved to separate the adapters from everything. Now, for most people, this would be no big deal because you may have 4 or 5 items and you can kind of match them up. When you're talking hundreds, okay, the last thing I needed is everything separated. And for the life of me, I cannot figure out why manufacturers on RAM, okay, and peripherals don't also mark the model number consistently. Some of them do, some don't. Like, this is for an external floppy drive, PLI 288. That would make it so much easier to match up, okay? But as a result, I have gone to extreme lengths to figure this one out, and I'm going to reverse engineer it, which is me overcoming a learning curve. I'm 62 years old, never too old to learn, and hopefully I can share my new knowledge with you guys in real time. It'll be rather comedic, using ChatGPT as my co-pilot. I've asked it many questions. You feed in the model number of this universal adapter. I gave it the PLI model number, and I said, what is the most likely solution for the adapter settings if I give it a universal adapter? Well, it says, let's see if I can get this in some decent light. Set it to 7.5 volts. And we've got the 50 hertz, which is fine. And then there's this, the polarity. And I need to figure out negative or positive polarity. Now, you also have these connectors, okay? And I'm thinking this one or this one are pretty close fits. And then you need to figure out the polarity by measuring the outside and the inside. And I believe chat said there's a certain style. So if I get that information, that should give me the polarity for this switch. Or I believe there's a neutral setting possibly. But I wasn't sure if I had the wrong polarity. It's a 50-50 shot if it was going to blow stuff up. Okay. And before I do that, I figured why not figure out the answer. I bought this nice smart meter here. Okay. And this is going to help me a lot. I've had to overcome the learning curve on how to do the settings on it. I've got the probes. I understand how to set them in here to test here the polarity. And I'm assuming at the back of the unit, it's probably going to give me a reading. And I'm also going to open this up and install a new old stock floppy for Kenny. We're also getting Sean a new old stock floppy. And the NeXT floppies are kind of unique because other floppy drives, you have a separate power cable. It's like a little 4-pin floppy cable. NeXT, just get their power off the 34-pin connector. And so I had to make special cables, and with like PC cables, there's one knockout. That won't do for NeXT. You have to have 0 knockouts, and you have to have it flipped upside down to what would normally be the case, because that's just NeXT. But it's a more efficient design. So that being said, okay, what I'm doing now is overcoming the learning curve of figuring out, is it positive or negative polarity? Is this unit okay? Is there a blown fuse inside, which I'd like to do? The other thing that's happened over time is the feet have come off, okay? At one point or another, 30 years later, the glue comes loose and the feet pop off. So I'm missing one on this guy. And so I bought these. Now I'm down to my last 4, which coincidentally will replace these unless I can find the other half moon one, which don't ask. I'd rather just replace and put 4 new ones on. They look nice. They kind of match. And I need to order some more of those. They're called bump-ons. Okay. So that is why some days things take me a minute to get resolved. Okay? And this could go on for a while because I am learning as I go. Even after 30-some years, there's always something new. Now, Sean is buying the 983 model power supply, which is the late model, and it allows you to boot up if you don't have a monitor. If you don't have a monitor and you have this early model 152 power supply, which of course the cable is going to be covering, that it will just like click on and off. And I get that often when people buy my new custom cable that works with flat panels. And the sound card, why isn't it powering up? We figured out a workaround on that. And so Brian Archer, one of our talented forum members, came up with the load board. Okay. The load board simulates monitor load for model 152s. And this is the latest and greatest. I've got these for sale. I've got the other external floppy for sale. I've got cubes for sale. Who's looking? Who's ready to buy? Hit me up here on YouTube. I mean, I can start selling through here. I'm revamping the website. That's a whole other project. I'm also going to be testing this new Zulu SCSI external deal to see if it works, or maybe it's internal as an alternative boot device as well. And then I believe that, let's see, Alex over at Rabbit Hole has the new ultra wide that I'm going to be testing as well to see if we can get some more speed out of these NeXT computers. Also, Nitro from nextcomputers.org is going to be coming up and teaching me how to, and my buddy Matt that does the capacitors, how to speed up NeXT turbo colors. I've got one set up over here. And I've got Hyun over in South Korea that's going to be buying that monitor. And he may be interested in a turbocharged turbo color. So we're going to be able to go 50 megahertz on the bus or 40 megahertz if it has the original 68033 processor. So we'll get a little bit more bang for the buck. We're also going to be able to bump up the speed on the RAM. Nitro is going to show me how to do that. I've got some 50 megahertz EDO RAM. So we're slowly but surely, hot rodding our old NeXT. We love them. Another issue with the NeXT Cube, I've got my little ROM burner station over here so I can burn ROMs. And I want to update the ROM because one of the settings is for a combination of parity and non-parity RAM, which is, I believe, 9-chip is parity, 8-chip is non-parity. It's counterintuitive, if you ask me. So for it to become easier, I bought a little label maker, okay? And I'll be darned if I'm not going to print out labels and put what the settings are. Now, by finding out the settings, it's also going to allow me to go through my boxes of adapters and figure out potentially what will the original ones look like. Now, I have them, but as I say, they were separated and put into boxes and all I'm just, I'm enhancing my calmness with all this. It's going to get done. I'm taking it and pacing myself. If anyone's interested, I have a couple of these new old stock station cases. I was thinking of doing for $199.95. It'll include the corner logo. I've got them. We had them custom made. They're beautiful for NeXT stations, NeXT monos, NeXT colors, and NeXT turbo colors. And it also includes a new old stock NeXT icon on the front. So if you wanted to pimp your, pardon the statement from the 90s or 80s, it shows my age, your NeXT station with a new case. Some of them are banged up to heck. $199.95. If you have a NeXT station that you don't care, but you need a top cover, I've got those for like $40. Okay. I also have the bezel plugs that go in here. I can either 3D print them or I have the originals. I can do mounting brackets for floppies, hard drives, for both stations and for cubes. A lot of cool stuff coming. Apologies for jumping around, but that's just my daily business, and that's why everything looks like this, man. It's because I'm in a literal black hole or a tornado or a vortex of work, and I appreciate my customers and everybody for staying with me. It's a miracle I am able to get around now for the first time in about 5 years, and the pain is going away by the day, except for today because we got weather coming in. And now my arthritis is flaring, and I think the joints are adjusting to the new balance of this big guy, continuing to lose weight, living right, and stay tuned. More fun stuff and tech knowledge coming from the black hole. I'm really looking forward to doing the meter because it's kind of like a newbie learning a meter, and maybe it'll help some people out there not be afraid of maybe trying to diagnose some of this stuff. Hey, if I can do it, you guys can too. So old guys out there, young people, I don't know if I'm a role model, but I'm sure as heck having fun doing this stuff. And so there we have it. Bill, hey, once I get, let's see if this mouse is going to cooperate. Yeah, so usually if the mice don't work, it's a problem here with the cable. Could be in the back of the keyboard, although I know this keyboard works. There you have it. It's the life of a retro hardware guy, both a hobbyist, enthusiast. I buy, sell, repair, trade, and I've done it for over 30 years. NeXT hardware is kind of my main deal, and thousands of happy customers out there. Feel free to like and subscribe. I just never know what the subject's going to be for the day. I'm not trying to lose subscribers by any means. So I hope you all like the content. At any rate, I've even got this new nifty. It's going to be like the auto deal. So far, I like just point and shoot. I just learned with Snapchat instead of the Apple iPhone app. The new 17, apparently, you don't need to hold it this way. You'll have the choice of, portrait or landscape. It'll do it automatically, so you don't have to worry about this. But what I like about this Snapchat thing, I just found out about literally 10 minutes ago, and to get Snapchat approved was a whole jump through hoops deal. But I can actually switch the cameras from front to back, okay, or probably do picture to picture. So you guys can actually see me talking and stuff, Why Apple doesn't have that, I don't know. I mean, it would seem trivial to just build that into the software. I mean, $3 trillion valuation. Put a tech on it, you could probably write it in an hour. I mean, seriously, think of stuff like that. There we go. Peace out. Have a wonderful day.